All right, we cover definition. Now let's cover one of the most important pillars, which is structuring. Well, structuring is disaggregating problems, right? It is because it's hard to deal with complex problems without that. Completely, for me, it's impossible. And how you do it, you segment the problems into buckets. So here's a quick poll for you, but actually I'll skip it because of time, right? How often do you use structuring trees, right? So they are very, very helpful in everything you do. And they can take any form or shape. For instance, they can be trees, like here. They can be mind maps. Some people prefer that. They go all directions, right? And they can be so-called indented paragraphs. So you can have a structure on a Word document, on paper, right? It's the executive summary is one type of structure like this. Some people call it dot dash. Pick the most natural for you. Some people prefer the tree, some people prefer other ones. But I'll tell you 6 things that you probably didn't know about problem structuring. And my focus here is things that are less known. The first one is that you can have a day 1 answer. What does it mean, right? It means coming up with a structure and a resolution on day 1. It's the synonym for hypothesis-driven approach. What is that, Flavio? Well, I explained to students like that. If you lost your keys, will you browse your house from left to right, from top to bottom? Would you look in the shower first? Well, maybe, depending on how drunk you arrived at home, but probably not. First, you would look at the usual places where you leave your keys, into pockets and so on, and maybe drawers, right? You are using, human beings use the hypothesis-driven approach already. You guess first, and then you look, and then you don't find it, you look for the next one, right? It's a lot more efficient than looking without strategy. And that's exactly why consultants guess first, and then they look for it, right? On day 1, they already have a structure and potential answers for the problem, but those are just for hypotheses, right? They have to be confirmed. That's a map, right? A map that keeps you moving forward. Without it, you can lose hope to solve a complex problem, right? So always use hypothesis-driven approach. Never do analysis without it because it's likely to be a waste of time. And business problems, including the discovery of America, is the same, right? You should never start looking for something without a hunch. So someone here was looking for India and found America, probably had to update his hypothesis, right? And that's normal. Like, what if my hypothesis is wrong? That's common. You adjust it, you throw it away and pick another one, right? Columbus can teach you this lesson. Second thing, problem trees often get confused with solution trees and vice versa. And yeah, so problem trees or issue trees and solution trees, they are different things, of course, right? And there are 3 flavors even: topics, questions, and hypotheses, right? I'll not bother you so much about it, right? But sometimes people prefer to write topics, for instance, like this. And some people prefer to write questions because questions, they spur the thinking. They inspire us to come up with answers. So it's a good way, especially if you have insufficient information about something, use topics or questions. But if you know a bit more, maybe you want to use hypothesis, right? So it's statement. That's your hypothesis. So going back to our real life case with my sister, expanding the market for interior design, right? I was doing this with her actually yesterday. Why are lower income families not seeking and purchasing interior design services, right? What do you think? Share with me in the chat some hypotheses. Just a quick type. Oh, we know, like maybe it's too expensive. Yes, what else? I want different opinion, like different ideas. They have Pinterest. Very good. Not a priority. Consider luxury. Other priorities. This is all related to price, budget. Is it all like if we make it super cheap, what else can be a barrier? No time. Yeah, mindset, perception, access, not interested, competition. Okay, excellent, right? So that's why problem solving is a team sport, because if you put people in the room and ask the same question and tell them to think broadly, creative, out of the box, then the things start to become interesting, okay? And here we came up with these ones, right? People are not aware of it. They find it too expensive compared to value. They don't trust service providers. They believe they have the skills to do a good job, like looking at Pinterest. They don't have access to financing tools, which is a different thing from being expensive, right? And here's the second level. I'll just give you a few examples. Maybe they don't know what interior design is really about, right? Maybe they the value for them is low. And what is the value of interior design? Aesthetics, functionality, economics, comfort, self-expression, belonging, right? When you create your own environment, you feel more belonging to it and so on. And the self-expression is an artistic expression, right? But maybe the value for those people they're not attracted to those things. They don't put a lot of value there, right? The price might be too high. They might be trapped, like have been trapped in bad service provider deals before. They might be encouraged to do it yourself, etc. Right? So that's starting a great discussion of what could be the problem, right? Here are a couple of other structures that you can see, right? So for instance, if you are spending too much money on fuel, what should you do? You can accept it or don't accept it. You can give up the car, change the car, keep the car, and so on, right? If you're solving a problem for a business school, they need advice how to stay competitive and grow, right? You can break into revenues and costs, all their revenues, where it comes from. This is just an example. Consultants, they love buckets so much that these guys from BCG, they even put buckets in their final presentation about stray dogs in Dallas, right? So very interesting. Good. You must only use MISI breakdowns. Well, MISI is a very important concept, right? It means collectively exhaustive and mutually exclusive. It means that we are covering the whole solution space, like this top quadrant here, and they are not overlapping, right? The points that you put in your structure should not be overlapping because it's super confusing. There are several ways for you to break down a component, and we teach how to do it always in the so-called MISI way. So it's always clean. It's always easy. For instance, here's an example, revenues of a coffee shop. This is a bit of a more complex example, right? That's a ROI comparing two businesses and so on, right? You have qualitative stuff, etc. You must try to slice it in different ways. Also very important because some people start with the first structure, but if you stop to think about it, you can break down things differently, like increasing your salary, hours worked, and salary per hour. That's a mathematical breakdown, but you can also think about other qualitative breakdowns like external factors and personal factors as well, right? Don't settle with the first cut. You may not have a top-down framework, right? Maybe you have to brainstorm first in order to be able to solve the problem, right? And finally, it's an iterative process. Oh, my screen froze. 1 second. Let me go back. Okay, so if you are not iterating it, you're failing to learn, right? We always have to go back to the whiteboard. And it's a team sport. Don't try to be a hero and come up with the answer for complex problems all by yourself.